Human resources. For some, the phrase conjures up thoughts of compliance, policies, and paperwork. For others, it sparks images of workplace disputes, hiring freezes, or the gatekeepers of promotions. But today, the role of HR is undergoing a transformation unlike anything we've seen before. No longer just an administrative arm of business. HR departments are now at the very center of how organizations attract talent, retain employees, and adapt to an era defined by remote work, artificial intelligence, and an ever-changing workforce. Across many industries, human resource professionals are being challenged like never before to balance empathy with efficiency, people with productivity, and culture with compliance. Modern technology is reshaping how workplaces recruit, measure performance, and even monitor employee engagement. So the question is this: in today's fast-paced and unpredictable world, is HR evolving fast enough to meet the needs of modern workers? Or is it still held back by outdated systems and old perceptions? The answer may reveal not just the future of HR, but the future of work itself.
Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from their generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Jason.
Hello, everyone.
And Stoney.
Hello.
Now, this is a very big topic we have for today, and we have someone very special in the studio with us. We haven't had a guest in a hot minute.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And Jason, you know this person much better than I do.
I do.
So I would like for you to introduce
Well,
them.
I would like our listeners to meet Meagan West. She is an HR, spent most of her career in the HR world, and we thought this would be an interesting topic to talk about, and who better to have someone who knows this like the back of her hand and can give us some insight.
So you're an HR consultant now, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about yourself a little bit?
Well, I've been doing HR basically since I left high school, and I didn't know it. And
About 6 months ago?
Yeah, it was 6 months ago. I graduated.
Long time you've been in the HR world, right?
And I'm an expert already.
Love that. Yeah.
But yeah, fell into it. Didn't say when I grew up I want to be in HR. It just happened that way, and realized that I loved it, and I was good at it. And so just kind of kept creeping along, getting promotions outside of organizations, and even found myself on the local HR Society of Human Resource Management, found myself on their board and crept my way up to the top, and giving back to the profession. It's been amazing because I think HR is a thankless job at times, and you need your tribe. Definitely. Yeah. Sometimes you're on an island of your own. And so to find that tribe and to give back to that profession, it meant the world to me. And so I realized I didn't want to work for anybody anymore because they have those smaller organizations who can't afford that full-time HR, but they need HR in their corner. And that's what I'm doing. And I love it. It's a passion of mine to help others see their potential in the organization. And so, yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you
great.
again for having me.
I think I can predict, knowing some things, this is going to be at times a spirited conversation.
That's
so please keep that in mind. This is not personal, but we all have experiences in this arena that are going to be some good and some bad.
Yeah.
And I know personally, for me, it's a passionate thing because HR in the last corporation that I came from failed miserably. Mm-hmm. And I'm very passionate about that. So please don't, if I get a little tone in me, it's not directed at you,
right.
But it is directed at, I think HR is a tool to protect the corporation and has zero to do to help the employee, other than a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
I think in some probably corporations, that's how it is structured. And like you said, you're coming from your perspective. I've come from a different perspective as well, where the places that I've been, it feels a lot more kind of that mediator where I felt the safety of being able to go to the people in HR and be like, hey, like I don't feel comfortable with XYZ, and been able to actually be accommodated. Whereas I know that some places don't always have that, and it is,
It definitely is
messy.
a balance of protecting the organization, but also being a resource to the humans there. And yes, HR does get a bad rap. And the way I explain it to people sometimes, it's just like police. Police, sometimes people don't like them because they get in trouble with them. And so then they get this bad name of, I don't like them. Well, guess what? They're enforcing law. I'm enforcing policy. So someone has to be that person.
My point.
Yeah.
See, there's my point right there. The corporation leaders, so they can sleep at night and are cowards, said that's all we can do because that's policy. Instead of having balls and standing up and being men and women of true leadership, said, I need to sleep at night. He ran out of time, fire his ass. After creating an accident that I had a 3% chance of surviving and almost killing me, instead of even asking me what I need, they fired me. And because policy and statute says that's okay, they did that so they can sleep at night.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate situation. And I hate that for you.
But that happens more
does.
often
It does.
than just me.
It absolutely does. And I hate that. And that's what it takes people like me to make sure you're leading and guiding with empathy. Make sure you're not just being like, okay, this is what the book says. Everything's so black and white. But are there other options? Like what else is out there? What kind of accommodations could someone have given you? Sometimes people look at others as a number in the system, just
But
another
HR
employee.
winds up being a tool. When you want to remove somebody, you go to HR. What can I do to remove this person? You don't go to HR and find out what can we do to keep these people. You go to HR to find out what we can do to remove them.
In some scenarios, yes. I've worked for some very great companies that have been in the opposite space of almost too much, I think, accommodating, where it's, it's almost hard to fire somebody without a lot of, concrete evidence.
I think you're ultimately bound by the rules in which the organization is operating under now. I mean, look, can rules be
bent
yeah,
right,
with enough pressure? Yes, they could.
That's everything.
Ultimately, I think in Stoney's case, I think that was, and I've said it all along, that if he would have been known the right people,
right,
probably maybe could some accommodations could have been made, possibly. But when you don't have that and you're kind of at the mercy of the rule,
right,
it happens. I mean, it's just a sad story. I hate that what happened, but
right.
I don't know what you can do to fix it. I really don't.
Yeah, because you have also the opposite end of it. Sometimes HR is not even brought in, and people make decisions without HRs, and that's frustrating because then you're coming in to clean up the mess.
Or you get pinned with the responsibility of it. It's like,
Yes.
okay.
Well, I can tell you when I got rehired, I just forgot how much paperwork
Oh no.
that you have to fill out. I had been working for over 30 years, and
Right.
and then all of a sudden you retire.
You take 1 year off.
You take a year off.
It's like
And
punishment.
you come back
Right.
and it's just like paper. It's like, gee, I forgot just how much
Back
you
in the
had
day,
to fill out.
I used to tell people when we did new hire orientation, that stack of, it's like a realm of paper.
Yeah, it's a
and I'm
book.
like, you're going to leave here feeling like you just purchased a house.
Yeah,
and
but-
instead of me giving you
yeah,
keys to
yeah.
the house, I'm going to give you
See,
keys to
I'm glad we're in that conversation. What is all that paperwork? Things you agree to that if you don't do, you're going to lose your job.
And it's not all policy.
It never, hey, if you do this, this, and this, you're going to get a raise. It never tells you that. But it's a tool to get you out of there.
It depends on what's in the onboarding paperwork, because a lot of them will talk about what your career, development and career paths look like. They'll talk about the open door policy. If you have an issue and you need to come discuss things.
Okay,
so
but think
not
about
all
that. What's the open door
policy.
policy? There's an open door policy if you feel like you've been sexually harassed. Okay, that's a positive, that you want to create a safe place for somebody to come in. And then that, I agree, in that situation. But there's no open door policy on, I want a promotion, I want this, or I want that. That has nothing to do with HR.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, I can't answer for where you specifically worked and what was
I'm not
in
talking about just my
theirs,
one
but-
place. I owned a business, and I did things differently for 25 years in my business. I was my own HR. And what I did in my business was took care of my employees. I proved leadership. We did things. We had a daycare. We had a doctor's office in a wing of my office.
That's so awesome.
In case my employees needed help. They didn't have to burn time. You didn't have to use your sick leave to go take care of a kid.
Convenience in the busy world, that is definitely a perk and
But
a
this is
added
in the
value.
80s. Okay, this
You're
is
ahead of
supposed to
time.
be the 2025, and we still aren't offering these things. Oh, yeah, some tech companies do, but that's not through HR. That's what you're going to do when you get the job here.
They have other organizations as part of the employee experience and employee engagement and total rewards. They do things like that. And I think it's great. I did a study on it over the summer because I was speaking a lot on employee engagement. And it is interesting what people do, but it also changes over time. Like it used to be, free dress Fridays. That was like fun.
Yeah.
But you've got to change up with the times. And so now it's
Well,
different
I
things.
did areas that experts agree in HR and areas that experts disagree in HR. And the very first one that the experts agree on is employee engagement is critical. And I have a couple of quotes. Gallup Research had as a quote, engaged employees are more productive, more loyal, and more likely to stay with their organizations. And then another one, who's an HR analyst, Josh Bershin, said organizations that actively measure and act on employee engagement outperform their peers in productivity and profitability. Compliance and knowledge and legal knowledge is essential. Things that they disagree with is the value of HR metrics and analytics. And Josh Berslin again said, data-driven HR is essential. Metrics help us understand attrition, engagement, and performance. But Patricia Macklin, HR expert, said HR is fundamentally about people and not numbers. Over-reliance on metrics can undermine human judgment and nuance. That's where they disagree. See, people are disagreeing with these statements where they agreed on the other statements. And so, again, it just becomes HR is an organizational culture. HR does not help the culture of an organization. The leaders, the managers, the supervisors, and the employees create the culture. HR does not create culture.
But I think the data is showing that HRs those departments are becoming that for a lot of companies.
Yeah,
I think a lot of leaders are, and when you look at the data as a whole, I think there's a lot of companies that are basically HR, you handle it, and they're kind of like dumping all that stuff on them.
But then I would like to clarify on this, and I'm glad you said that because this is a generational show. I am the boomer. Jason is the X-Gen. Ian is the millennial. I don't know if you want
Well,
to.
I just graduated 6 months ago, so
You're Gen Alpha, I guess it is. So that's I have a boomer's perspective of this.
Yeah.
That's even though I was still in the workplace until this accident at 60 years old. Well, 59 years old, I guess. I'm still in the workplace, but that's my perception of it.
yeah, there's been a shift in HR 100%. And a lot of it's going to that strategic HR business partner, having their hands in a little bit of everything and understanding it. And so as you may think that HR can't help with the culture, it does help drive the culture because you are coaching and leading your team and your managers and your supervisors to have that shift. You have to empower them and educate them and give them those nuggets so they can, because culture it's everybody. Like how you say safety is everybody. And yes, it does start from the top, but you can influence that. I give culture topics and speaking and training all the time on what that looks like, because I say culture is not just a poster on the wall, but it's in the everyday little details. It's in everything.
Okay, but HR is responsible at times for removing people. And I have a statement I want to throw at you. The truth is, too many workplaces would rather lose half their staff than hold one toxic leader accountable.
I agree. I've seen that.
That falls onto HR, not doing their paperwork, not writing people up, not managing, not having these meetings, not.
So it's up to whoever their manager is, whoever their supervisor is, they need to be held accountable to doing that. And so HR can come in and partner with them and say, hey, where are you at with this person? What kind of disciplinary action have you taken with them? Where's your documentation? HR can help support that and show you what that's like, but that supervisor needs to be supervising that employee. And so when we come in to help and partner with them and we have nothing, it's like our
But we're
hands
not
are
talking
tied.
about an employee. We're talking about the leader, where HR would now fall under.
Well, oftentimes the leaders, depending on what organizations you're talking about, if you, in the private world, you would think a leader is going to be somebody that's reporting to a board, you know, or
Like
in,
C-suite.
right. In government, then you're talking about someone that's appointed by a governor or a mayor or so the only person they're really accountable to is that elected official, and you know how well is that. How that works out. I mean, you know.
Well, I mean, a statistic, and you're our resident statistician.
I got a bunch of stats.
I figured that was coming.
I'm waiting to start talking.
75% of employees have experienced some form of toxic leadership, yet only a fraction of these leaders are formally disciplined.
Well, as I said, it's who are these ultimate bosses? Who they report to? The people that appoint them, they're so far removed from
Or not even on site.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
They're unless you make the news.
Right?
That's it.
Yes.
I mean, let's to be honest about it. The only time those people are you know, that a governor or a mayor or a board intervenes, it's like either the company is sinking really fast.
Oh yeah.
Or
Hey, what would have happened if my
or a news
situation would have landed
agency-
on Channel 9 News?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it y'all just that's how those people are held accountable. Beyond that, as long as they kind of just keep the ship somewhat afloat and there's no scrutiny, they can pretty much do what they want to do. I mean, it's just
in my
how it
context,
works.
in my context specifically, as like a supervisor, like middle management position, I have a manager, like a direct boss, and there's even a boss above that person.
course, yeah.
And so I have a relations committee that I can go to, and if I have any disagreements with my direct boss, and
Sort of like a grievance process.
and there,
The open door.
and there could
Open
be
door.
there could be actions where that boss of mine could be displaced, but the problem is that if the higher up even past that, if there's a good relation there, then that person will probably just get replaced somewhere else, which is, you know, that's so, and that I don't think that's the relations committee on my part's fault. That's something that's even above both of us. That's like that you can't.
Everyone's
can't do that.
definition of HR is different.
yeah.
Everyone's
Sure.
experience with HR is different. And so what HR is designed for and what it is in different organizations is different. And sometimes HR wants to do those things to help the employees, but they don't have the support and the buy-in
Yeah.
from their upper management. So their hands are tied with,
Well, I mean,
this is my budget. This is what they're supporting me on. This is all I can do. And so then they even become disengaged
Right.
as well. So
HR. I mean, look, this all started back in the earliest, you know, during the Industrial Revolution.
Right.
It's called personnel management. It was basically designed to keep the company safe from lawsuits, keep the workforce compliant. You
Right.
know, kind of do some basic things. It's now morphed into a whole bunch of other things now because workforce has changed and just society has changed and different expectations are just present now that wasn't at a time when people were still employing 12-year-olds.
Yeah, 100 years ago. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
I mean-
constantly evolving. You mentioned it earlier, but HR wears so many hats, so many. And
They do.
When people ask what I do, I'm like, well, I'm a firefighter.
Today or yeah.
I'm a lawyer. I'm a social worker. I'm an adult babysitter.
Oh, gosh.
I'm it just the list goes on and on of like what you do and what you have to keep up with, and it's a lot, and you can only do so much. But again, if you don't have the support coming down, and then across, you have to learn to manage up, down, and across. And that's something I've been really speaking on a lot lately of what does that look like, because it's very hard to manage up, down, and across if you only have influence and you don't manage them. So you can tell them all day long, here's how you need to handle certain situations. I need you to document certain things. You can coach them to have good leadership qualities, but ultimately they don't report to you. So if you don't have their leader kind of help and drive that and support that, again, you're on the island of your own. So go find your tribe and know that you're not crazy. It's just a weird situation, a weird position that you're in.
In 2023, this is some interesting stuff. They say global employee turnover costs businesses an estimated $7.8 trillion in productivity. 60% of workers report that they're disengaged at their jobs, while 4 out of 5 employees say company culture is just as important as salary.
Interesting.
And they said and right now with the, we're coming out of the remote work now. Some of these stats were taken at the time of COVID, a lot of people working from home, but they say 1 in 3 employees say they'd quit if forced to return to the office full time.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Well, that's actually one of the things. I spoke to someone in HR that's in HR now and dealing with it. They said there was 3 super significant issues that they're facing at the moment. Number 1, remote and hybrid schedule issues.
Yeah.
That was the number 1. Number 2 is compensation. Many employers no longer give merit raises. You only get your 2 to 4% annual cost of living raise.
If you get that.
If you get that, and that's all you can look forward to. People often leave jobs or job hop to climb the salary ladder, which is something I want to get to later, because in my time, you didn't leave your job. Now, these early millennials and Gen Z, they're hopping jobs every 1 to 2 to 3 years.
It's all online, and you can see where it's better and where.
And number 3, employee mental health and well-being issues. That's the top
Leaving
3
toxicity.
things. Yes.
Yeah.
That they're dealing with right
And
now. So I'm glad you said
it'd be
because-
very interesting to see how this evolves over time. It'd be very interesting if I can stick yourself in a capsule and wake up in 50 years and see how all this will.
I feel like anything to do.
Maybe that's what we ought to call the show. Let's change it to the time capsule.
yeah,
In retrospect. and can't we put this in the Smithsonian or something? Isn't there some...
It's your little tagline.
Maybe.
They say millennials and Gen Z now make up nearly 50% of the global workforce.
Wow.
Yeah, you have 5 generations of workforce now. People are working longer, and then you're trying to mesh all these generations. And like you said, they're like, you don't leave a job. That's
Yes.
what you were told. The loyalty
Yes.
was there.
Yes.
But now, ever since COVID, people want to work from home, and they want this work-life balance. And TikTok and has shows these beautiful jobs of look at my work-life balance.
Look at how little I do.
None of that's real.
Exactly.
It's all
and
fake.
also we talked about this on another episode about people taking their pets to work. And some of the challenges people when they went home. And then all of a sudden, now they were leaving the
Service
house.
animal.
The animals having separation anxiety and stuff like that.
And we have all those new policies, and it's weird because when I entered the space, what HR was in the policies, and then over the years, then all of a sudden we need a social media. What's a social media policy? Then we need all these different policies that keep coming in, and how do you accommodate people, and how do you make everybody feel welcomed and warm and fuzzy? And now it's I have these service animals. I need to bring a service animal. But then it's like, okay, but if I bring it, is your whoever's working next to you, are they allergic to it's a whole thing.
I have something to throw at you, Jason, something you just said. The average cost to replace an employee entry level is 30 to 50% of annual salary. A mid-level, like Ian just said, he's kind of mid-level, is 150% of annual salary, and a senior level is 200 to 400% of the annual salary to replace somebody that leaves.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
some of these new the younger workers now, these hybrid work schedules. That's an expectation. I mean, that's not like a oh wow, it's an option. No, it's an expectation. They should be able to work from home.
And they look online, and it's so easy to just scroll and swipe and see can I work from home. And so
there's so many job sites and other services like that where you literally just like throw out a resume onto like 100 different jobs in a very short amount of time.
You can work in whatever state too.
Oh yeah.
Like, nope, I want to work from home, and I want to work for California because their cost of living's more and their salary ranges are more, and so I'm going to work right here. So they've got more competition.
I think that like anything that involves people, anything that involves a large amount of people, yes, needs management, but also is gonna be difficult. You mentioned earlier about like what's going to shift, what's going to change in the future. I think the expectations and
I think everybody's going to be working from home.
I think it's all going to change in the future, but I still think there's going to be some level of HR.
What was that movie?
Everybody's going to have an office at the house. And
what was that movie where they lived in pods?
In pods.
And
pods and capsules. Where are y'all brains?
I thought
that was a movie where, was it Bruce Willis?
No, that was this like it was a where in essence they were like hooked into these chairs. Their brains were hooked into like a robot version of themselves out in the real world, and that's who actually interacted.
Yes.
And of course, they show these people how they really look at home. They're all sick and they can't hardly move, and they're all this and that and everything else.
Speaking of pods, they have organizations who have nap pods.
Yes.
Get out.
Yes, you can go and take a little cat nap and then come right back to work.
I can see that because in some cultures they do allow it.
Oh yeah.
And it's well
siesta time,
right? Exactly.
And if you're in Europe and
they
other
close,
places,
they close shop,
they close everything,
right?
For a couple hours during the hospital, you're expected to stay open till 10 o'clock too.
Right. Well, people eat late,
right?
In Europe, I did notice that.
Let's be
people
honest,
eating dinner at 9 and 10 o'clock at night.
Let's be honest. Even the culture has changed here since COVID. Like things don't stay open past 8 p.m. anymore. At least not in our local context. I mean, maybe somewhere else in the
probably
US.
the bigger urban areas.
But I remember when Walmart was open 24/7. It closes at 11 now. And any coffee shop. Yeah, I was like, that was like a big thing. It's like you can go to Walmart whenever. But now it's
that's
like
when
every
I used to
one
shop
of them
was at 2 o'clock in the morning.
No one was there.
No one was there, and they were stocking the shelves.
I remember I used to work at a coffee shop, and the coffee shop would close down at 10 p.m. Or in some parts of like downtown area, it was like 11 o'clock. A coffee shop would close down. Now every single coffee shop locks the doors at 8 p.m. I'm like, the sun's not even down yet. What? But that's just it's a different thing where it's like times have changed. I think that's part of that's probably corporate reasons and in money and whatever else. So. But anyways.
Turnover.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they can't staff
You're
because
right.
nobody wants to work, so they have to accommodate and shift their hours.
I have an interesting little statistic here. Employee engagement survey participation. How many times do you fill out a survey on how you feel about your job? The boomers was 30%. Gen X was 40%. Millennials is 55%. And the Gen Z era is 65%.
Wow. Like how often they're filling
Just
up?
that you even get that option to do it.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
And as
HR becomes more digitally, what can we do and where can we put these numbers?
When it's like we've already stated before too, I think we're trying to hold retention on some people and figure out why there's a high turnover rate.
Yeah, you're truly trying to capture how can I improve? But people know because it's digital, they think it's not truly anonymous, so they're scared to be very truthful in their responses because they feel they're going to get tracked and there's going to be retaliation. Right. So either A, they don't fill it out because of that, or B, they don't fill it out because they feel like, well, you're not going to do anything with this information. Nothing's going to change, so why waste my time? And so I was always the one I loved it. I was like a nerd, like could not wait to dig into it and like,
Ooh, a survey, please.
like,
Yeah,
like
right,
tell me the things. And then like I would like find out and it's like, okay, tell me more. And I used to find a way to do informal surveys because I noticed people, if you could build relationships with them, they were more honest and open with you versus giving them a blank sheet of paper or a digital format of a survey. And so what I did was I remembered when I was young at my elementary school, if you were like this all-star student, you got to have pizza with the principal. And you got like a little certificate. You got pulled out of class. You got to go sit down with her. And like, it was just an honor to go have pizza with the principal.
Yeah.
So I started this thing at my organization. It was pizza with the president. And most people, our president wasn't very approachable because he was so busy on meetings and whatnot or going out in the market. And so I wanted him to be more approachable and people to know like he's not a bad guy. So what we would do is once a month, somebody from every department got to come and sit down and have pizza with the president. And
That's so cool.
it was so neat because you had people across departments that never talked before, didn't know what other people did. So they grew an appreciation for what others did. But I got them to relationship build and know them as a human being. Like, what do you like to do for fun? Oh, what do you like to do for fun? Oh, I like to do that too. And once you relationship built and broke the ice of like, okay, the president's just another human and you are humans as well. Then we started kind of, what would make your life better? What would make your job better? And they slowly started to open up and, well, you know this and you know that. And sometimes it would be a $10 fix. And it made a whole difference to them down there. And when they saw you came and did that and they saw the action happen, it was just like, whoa, they loved it. So they really enjoyed like, it was part of employee engagement too, because like, oh, look, this person got, to go and have this recognition.
A little VIP moment. Yeah.
And then they got to go upstairs and sit down in his office. And it was just, it was really cool. But that was an informal survey. And I got so much out of that versus this typed up, go submit your answers. And some people use it as a venting session anyway. And
As anyone does, yeah.
You're talking about engagement.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the 80s and the 90s and
I wasn't even born yet. Remember?
She just graduated high
Tony,
school.
you're showing your age.
Okay. Do you know what one of the worst things the owner of the business could do to create the most stress in his business employees, the employees of the business?
What's that?
Drive his new boat and park it at the store.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, we can't get a 3% raise, but now
yeah.
you got this $200,000 boat, and that was back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
That you're parking here because you can't park it. You don't have no spot to put it at your home, so you're going to park it here.
In his eyes, he deserves everything.
In his eyes, he deserves it.
all that. He goes, I work hard.
But
and I
now
got a
we're
lot of
talking about
responsibility.
engaging the employees and giving them some ownership to be better in the company.
That started with the 80s.
It did.
80s.
Did they also have like the phone in the car?
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a bag.
I never.
phone.
Hey, you
Saw
laugh.
one.
I still have every
A relic
electronic
of the past.
that I've ever owned, from the first pager, which was a pen.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
and it did was
pen?
beep.
Like
And-
a
like it looked like a
writing-
pen, and it
Wow.
went in your pocket, and you went deet, and it didn't tell you anything. When it beeped, you knew to call the answering service, and they gave you your message. I still have my
wild.
first bag phone, my first brick phone, my first little blue Nokia. I have all of it. I've had a couple of friends that are in the movie industry say, we'll buy it all so we can use it for props.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I remember those.
Yeah.
Golly,
But that
I
was
so
something
excited
else.
to get my bag phone.
I know, right?
I think if I went digging, I'd still have my first iPhone somewhere. But
the Miami Vice days. Hey, when they were
Oh,
pulling up
yeah.
the phone and then the brick phone.
Good times.
What is a brick phone? I don't.
It looked like a big brick.
it's like a big.
Oh, like the Zach Morris
it has
Saved by the
like
Bell.
Like
Okay.
a whole. Yeah, it's a big.
Okay, I
Yeah.
follow
It looked
you.
like a big brick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know the brand name, but that's what it's colloquially known as.
Hey, I've got something for you, Megan. Here it says, according to this, some of this data here, it says 80% of HR departments now use artificial intelligence for recruitment.
Oh,
Oh, I
they've
believe that.
been using that. So
believe-
it's the ATS, the applicant tracking system. I mean, because everything's online and people will apply for stuff even if they're not qualified. No one has time to sift through all that. And so the applicant tracking system will help put them in the appropriate
even,
bucket.
What is it? Indeed.com says that's what they use.
Yeah.
And they put words in it, and then all you have to do is put the words you're looking for, and it'll pull all the applicants with those and shift them
That's
your
why
way.
I train and coach people to, if you're looking for a job, go find the job description, and you match and mimic and make sure your resume has those keywords that's gonna.
Well,
pick
you
up.
can use AI to do that. You can copy and paste that job description and then put your resume in it and say, make my resume match this job description in the best way possible.
Well, they say, the algorithms, they can screen, chatbots handle interviews, predictive analytics can even forecast who's most likely to quit.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
It
That's crazy.
knows
Remember
everything
Minority
about
Report?
you.
Minority Report,
that.
who's going to commit a crime before they do it? That was
There's
a good movie.
nothing.
Profiling.
I haven't had like a job interview in probably, it's been probably over 10 years now at this point. And I can't imagine not having like a sit down interview with somebody. That's just one of those things that like I feel like even though I'm I'm in this weird middle bracket of millennial where it's like I remember all like the kind of older ways how things are done a little bit. So like I just feel like I don't know if I don't like that. I would rather just like sit down face to face, have some coffee with like
so would I. Yes.
a manager of some kind, because I know who I am. I know I can sell myself, but I don't know if I can do that over a text. I feel that where it's like I don't know if I know I'm charismatic enough where if we sit down, I'm like, I know for a fact that if I'm not the perfect one for the job, I can probably convince you.
And
That's
because we haven't done that in a while, a lot of people do virtual stuff. People don't even know how to do an interview anymore. They don't know how to show up, to dress, what to say. Like it's
Right.
wild.
I wish I had it. I have a statistic on how many Gen Z, and I think it's 65% of Gen Z bring a parent to a job interview.
It's horrible.
They bring a parent.
They bring a
I
parent
can
to
see
the
that.
job interview.
I can see
Interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
that. They don't know. They don't know what they don't know, and people
Yeah, I
aren't
mean,
teaching
in
them.
their defense, look.
There is no defense for that. No, there is no defense
Well,
for
look,
that.
I've known people who can't even cut the grass. So, I mean, let alone, don't
In our
even know
next
how to start a
episode-
lawnmower.
All right, well,
So-
all right, let's be real specific on that, okay? When I was a young man, when you looked in the manual for your car, it told you how to adjust the timing. Now the car manuals tell you not to drink the antifreeze or the battery acid.
Disclaimer.
Yeah.
Well, that's how policies get made.
That's how
somebody
policies
does
get
something, and so you go back to our original, like when we started, and we talked about the new hire orientation. You asked why it was that thick. Well, somebody did something, and to CYA, a policy had to be enacted.
Well, you have to think about this, okay? On the tube of Preparation H, it says do not take this orally because someone called up Preparation H and said, I've eaten this whole tube and my butthole still hurts.
Well, like the whole McDonald's thing with the coffee being hot, like
Being hot. But
You always
what's
gotta
the
protect
HR
yourself.
joke? The guy goes to HR and says, do I really have to follow these rules in HR? And the HR rep looks at him and says, you're the reason we have most of them.
Oh yeah. Again, I think the joke I've heard the joke before is like if you see a warning sign for something, that usually indicates that somebody did that thing. Where it's like, why does this warning sign say something so niche and specific? And it's like, but you'd be surprised.
It may never happen again, but in the event it does, hence
forbid.
why you gotta sign all those policies.
Okay, you're the HR expert. In the HR realm, according to the EEOC, the leading category of complaints is disability discrimination. The fastest growing one is age discrimination. 95% of employees over 40 have reported experiencing age discrimination in the workplace. And according to a recent report, Gen X and boomers are aging. They also comprise a significant percentage of the disability claims. So these two are kind of hand in hand now.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Has that been your experience? How do you feel about that?
My experience, and I'm a very blunt and honest person, just my experience.
Well, okay. All right. The rule of the show is when we started, Ian backed me up on this. You have to be authentic and genuine.
Yes, then that is
So
me,
if
100%.
that's you, let it out.
If
Fire away.
in the event you're let go or whatever adverse action that you feel has happened, you're going to be mad. You're going to be disgruntled, and people are going to be in your head. Well, you needed this and you needed that. And it's probably, so people will get in your head, and then you're going to go fill out this form, and you're going to check all the boxes of what you fit. So if you're over 40, check. You're a female, check. If you're going to start like, it's because of that. And it's not necessarily because of that. And so that's what's been so frustrating in my career is, those EEOC complaints, they come because the person's disgruntled. Not all of them, but they're disgruntled and they just want to fight. And so they just, well, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to sue you and I'm going to go this. And then employers have to spend so much money fighting that it wasn't that. Like, here, it was the performance, or it was this, or it was that. I mean, one time I had to do I'm trying to be politically correct, but it's like, I had to do randoms. And I remember this one time I didn't pick the randoms. I sent the list to the clinic. The clinic sends me the list back of these people were selected. And that was to, again, CYA. That's what you learn in business class. And in HR, you always want a CYA. And I never wanted to say I cherry picked my randoms. And I got the email list back to me, and I can show my paper trail of my email list. Well, I had one person who failed, and it was because they took their son's Adderall. And so, of course, I had to let said person go. And I won't say if they were male, female, whatever, but they literally went and checked all the boxes of what, could be discriminatory and said, well, I got cherry picked because I'm this, and this.
Right.
It had nothing to do with that. It was truly a random. Like and so that's just one case, but it's like, yes, I can see disability when people get older, and they're, things happen, that they can't perform their job duties. And if you go through the whole reasonable accommodations, if they need accommodations, if they can't do stuff because of their disability, they may go, people just reach for, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, unfortunately.
Well, some people are looking to just get rich. Let's just be honest.
And I'm not saying all people are like that.
Right.
There truly are. But unfortunately, out of all the ones I've ever seen, were not valid. And so just like we started this off, you feel some type of way about HR, well, because of all the cases I've had at EOC, and I truly knew that wasn't the case. But again, I'm not saying there aren't organizations that, they need to be, you need to look and see what's going on with them. But yes, that's just my experience.
Well, I got some industry trends here. They say the global human resources tech market is projected to reach $99.4 billion by 2030. 75% of organizations are recruiting for remote positions.
Oh, yeah.
The average time to fill a job opening is 42 days.
That's interesting right there.
58% of HR professionals cite employee experience as their top priority. 69% of employees say they'd work harder if appreciated.
Of course.
Companies with highly engaged staff report 21% higher profitability. 85% of HR leaders view data analytics as critical to talent strategy. 89% of HR professionals believe diversity and inclusion improve team performance. 88% say they're critical priorities, and 51% say D&I is their top hiring focus. I'd be very curious where they pull some of these numbers from.
I'm disagreeing with
shifting.
a number of those. That's shifting.
70% of candidates say that candidate experience reflects how much a company values its people. Only 39% of HR leaders feel their organizations are on track with digital transformation. And Meagan, you might be able to, from your past, you might be able to provide some input on that. Remote work boosted productivity by an average of 13% during the pandemic. 64% of employees feel workplace culture needs improvement. And 72% of HR leaders say internal mobility is key to retention. And then 55% of employees favor flexible hours. 90% of HR leaders invest in employee well-being. and 65% cite change management as a major challenge.
Yes.
What
So
do you think on
I
that?
think,
Oh my
I
gosh,
think
so
some
much.
of those statistics came from the same people that the CEO of Cracker Barrel is getting
Yes,
her stuff, where
exactly.
she says that it's been an overwhelming positive
I
experience
don't believe-
after they've lost 20% of their value. So I think they're giving her some of those same statistics.
I think there's unfortunately, when you start pulling some of
What
this
is it,
data,
Julie Massio or something?
Yeah,
What's
when you
her
start
name?
pulling some of this
Yeah.
data from where they're pulling these numbers from, I would venture to say, diversity and inclusion, I guarantee it's probably more heavily in the Northeast, maybe on the West Coast, in the South, and in the Midwest, maybe not as much.
I still think I still think depending on what company you're talking about and what spheres.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
I would say that those numbers track even for our location for some, depending on what workforce you're talking about.
I mean,
But
basically,
yeah,
according
the
to
big thing that I heard that was really impressive that I think is very true is talking about the whole appreciation factor.
Yes.
It's like
Yeah.
once you have like people are willing to stay when they feel like they're appreciated and accommodated in some matters. But like we said before, it's also hard because everyone is different. People are as diverse and as different from the next person, and it's hard to accommodate everyone sometimes.
So out of all that, there's a lot I could talk about each thing, but I wrote down two things: attaboys and change management. So I want to talk about the first one, which goes to the appreciation. Everybody's motivated differently, and everybody needs to send and receive appreciation differently.
Everybody has a different currency.
Yes.
Not necessarily
You have
money,
to
but like you said, attaboy. Yeah.
Find out what makes people
Yes,
tick.
what they tick.
So some people are going to stay because you throw money at them.
Right.
I need the money.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
people are going to stay because of their leader. And a lot of people leave because of their leader.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need to verbally say, wow, you did a good job. When you did this, it did this. And because of this, like quantify it and do it in front of others. People are so quick to, unfortunately, reprimand people in front of others, which they should never do. You praise in front of people and you reprimand in private. But
We did a lot of that discussion on that
We did.
leadership episode.
you
Remember,
did.
we talked
You did.
about a lot of stuff.
I listened to it. And
Oh, you did? Okay, great. You did? Awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't born yet when y'all did it because, I was. No, I'm joking.
love it.
But it was one of your earlier ones and it was really good, the leadership topic. But no, appreciation. And sometimes it's just a verbal. Sometimes it's a, highlight them.
In my current context, at the end of a staff meeting, when we have everyone around the table, the very last thing we do is something called high fives.
Yes.
And a lot of times it's like us in the upper management position being able to point out and say, you did a great job on that thing this week. High five to you. Yeah. You did wonderful on X, Y, Z. Or, man, that thing, the fundraising thing or whatever it is you did was, or I saw the hard work you did. Like just like little things like that, little appreciations. When we're all we're all here. We've all talked about the calendar, the schedule, all the stuff. At the very end,
the wins.
Yeah.
Well,
Share the
there's a
wins.
leadership quote that says, praise in public, scold in private.
Yeah.
And it's important.
It is. But it's so little, but it goes a long way. People want to know if they're busting their butt for you and they're doing this thing and they worked on the project and you're like, oh, okay, you got this in time. No, go a step further and tell them how much you appreciate them. And because then you're going to diminish their engagement and their morale. And the next time they're going to start slacking and they're not going to give as much effort. Sometimes it's just verbal appreciation. I used to tell my managers all the time, they were so quick to write people up for what they did wrong. And that does something to an individual. When they see they're being wrote up and it's going on a piece of paper or it's electronic and it's going in their file, eventually when they see all these bad things going in their file per se, it really does something to them. But if you could turn around and do like commend or a note to a file or whatever and know that, okay, we're not always going to talk about the bad stuff. We're going to talk about the good stuff. It goes so far.
Let me throw something at you. That was one of the things. If my manager, I required you to keep a daily log of your employees, good and bad. If you came to me with nothing but bad on an employee, you were just as much in trouble. because you weren't doing your job. You weren't being a leader. You weren't helping. You weren't giving them paths to redemption. You weren't doing those things. So even from, I still have logs from back in the day that every good thing you did, if you did something bad, it got put down in that log, so that when I came to you, hey, look, you're in trouble today, but I want to tell you, look at these good things you did here. What can we do to focus on these things?
We were conditioned, in my opinion, since we were young to appreciate that. Like when our parents would just be like, oh my God, you did so great. Or when you went down the slide, you did so good. Or you did so good at that basketball game. Even at school, if you did great, you got a sticker or you got a this. And like, it made you so proud. And so as you get older, like you don't get that. But I feel like we're conditioned, like we still people want that. And I remember when I was president a year ago on one of the boards that I was on, I noticed people were doing great things, but they would never share it. And so I made them.
You were president of the board while you were still in high school?
Yeah.
The funny thing is,
she's a high achiever.
I see that. Wow.
I feel like a lot of this really boils down to like whether it be in a relationship or friendship or workspace, people want to feel wanted.
Yes.
That is a human
part of
needed, human desire.
wanted.
That they're aligning with the mission and that their goals mean something.
Like even if you boil it down even more, is like if you have, whether it be a coworker or a boss, a lot of times it means more from a boss, but to like I said, even if it's a friendship, even if it's a relationship, a human desire that I think is across the board is that people want to feel wanted. Yeah. I want you to be here. You're important enough for me that I want you to be here, and I'm going to let you know in some capacity. And like you're saying, if you keep saying like, oh, this bad thing, it's like, well, I don't think you want me here.
Yeah.
If you do,
I'm just so horrible. Why don't I
if
just
you do,
leave?
then why don't you make me believe it?
So then they think they're in a toxic environment. So then they're going to leave because my boss hates me. Yeah. So back to what I would do with the board. Some people don't know how to share their wins or share the great things they're doing because they're humble and they're quiet. And so I used to have them come with 3 A's. I want you to show up, and on your agenda items, I want to see your accomplishments, your action items, and what do you need assistance with? So when you came with your accomplishments, like what are you doing? Like let's all celebrate. Then it was like, what action items are you working on? But then assistance, like how else can somebody here assist you? And I think the sharing of the accomplishments, like it's so important. Let's just not always get down to brass tacks in business of like what's going on. But it again, the attaboys and the sharing the wins.
What does a true leader do? A true leader, when it's something good happens, blames the team. When something bad happens, blames themselves.
Yeah, take ownership on all that.
Just for my sake, I want to hear it again. What were the 3 A's you said again?
Accomplishments, action items, and assistance.
I remembered and I got brain damage.
You get a sticker at the end of this for doing so well today.
I was just thinking I was going to get a participation trophy.
That's right.
There you go.
So another thing I want to bring up, that I wrote down was change management.
Oh, yeah.
Jason, this is huge. HR is having to be really involved in change management. And what does that look like? Because things are constantly changing and shifting. And especially with AI, how can we partner and support and embrace change and champion change? Because a lot of people can't handle change. And especially certain generations, I won't name names or labels, but they're like, things are this way and I'm just going to keep it. Yeah. They don't know how to embrace change. And, the whole, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But you have to, if you're not changing and staying up with it, you're going to be left behind in the dust. And so how do people embrace change?
But you see, here you go. You took that shot at me and I accept it.
No.
But then you go all of a sudden from me not
she
wanting
wasn't
change.
looking at me.
But hey, then you go
I didn't look at anybody.
Then you go to the new generations. Hold on, hear me out. Now you go to the new generations who change every 15 minutes. Okay, so you go from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
And it's like you go in a week period of time. Now I need a mental health day. Now I need this kind of a day. Now I need that kind of a day. And
where do we strike the balance? I'm going to kind of play a little devil's advocate here. Now, about praising and doing all these things to try to make people feel good. There is a problem in our society that everyone has a trophy at the end of the day, and I'm wondering if we're actually doing more harm in the long term than we're actually helping
With participation trophies?
Yeah,
Yes, we've done
that's-
irreparable damage.
I worry about that. And unfortunately, I should say unfortunately, I think this is an area that you kind of walk the tightrope on, because I think, yes, you need to, for morale purposes and to make people feel welcome, that you're a part of the team, that you're wanted here. All these things I think is important. At the same time, we have an expectation. And if you don't meet that, are you still being rewarded?
But see, here's the
And
problem.
I
What you're
think
saying
that's
is
where
we
the-
reward the teams for losing. If you reward a team for winning, it's not a participation trophy
Right, because they won.
because they won. But when you give the losing team a trophy, you're not teaching them anything.
Right.
And I think that's the difference.
That's what I'm saying. I think there's a tightrope
Yes.
that you got to walk, because, I think in times past, in Stoney, in your era, and even in mine to a degree, it was a very much you either won or you lost.
That's right.
That's just the way it was.
Try
And-
harder next time.
Yeah.
Learn from it. Learn from it.
Yeah,
think,
go back, get a fire, and come
think,
back.
I think as my generation became parents, they experienced that in the past, and they didn't want their children to experience that. And I think that's where it
Shielded them.
began the.
I think it's like we've said before.
You're going to get rewarded regardless. And I think unfortunately now we've reached a point where, how do you even motivate people anymore?
It's coming, and that's the statement. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. We're in that weak men era because we're not teaching our people, men, women, and it's a statement that says men, but it's everybody.
Right.
We're in the weak person state right now because we have made those changes. We've done the participation trophies. We've made life so easy for people.
And sometimes I think sometimes that is I think it's a good thing, because I think I love the fact that I don't work in a job right now where I have to grind away for 30 years, hating my life, and then just to eventually retire one day. Like that is the place where my
That's me.
grandparents and my parents came from.
I'll sleep
That's what
when
I'm
I
saying.
die.
No, I'm not meaning to out anybody here. But that's what I'm saying is, like, that was my grandparents' generation. That was my parents' generation. A lot of times where, like, you had to just suffer through it in silence. And I'm now afforded the ability to say, I don't think I want to do that. And I'm able to, like, work in a place where, like, I enjoy what I'm doing, and I do have, like, there is probably some participation award in some capacity that, like, has enabled me to be in this space. That, like, so I think I think we've said this on this podcast ad nauseum, that there is a middle ground between a lot of this stuff.
Oh,
And
of
I feel like
Absolutely.
no appreciation at all is not the answer. Appreciating everything, regardless of wins or loses, is not the correct
It's a
answer.
balance.
There's a balance for everything, and I think
a
that's
tightrope
Yeah,
that
I
you
think that,
walk.
like, there's this middle ground of, like, I think I have worked in places where my bosses have been able to sit down and say, "Hey, bud, you really dropped the ball on that, and we got to step it up." And I'm like, "Yes, sir, you're right. That was on me, and I'll fess up to it." But at the same time, be able to sit down in front of a whole staff and go, "You really knocked out the park this time,"
Right.
and it feels good.
And
And I can say,
I had a boss that would say, "You did a good job, get a good night's sleep. I'll most likely fire you tomorrow."
and how unfortunate is that?
Yeah.
That's no good.
Now,
No bueno.
here, I mean, it's
And that's the truth.
I know, and I 100%. The thing is,
And that's while I was doing a good job.
exactly. That's why I think it's I'm almost speechless, because I know you're not lying. And don't get me wrong, I've been in jobs like that as well, where it was very much, it was all performance based, and if you did not reach X amount of numbers of things, you got a write up, and it went in your file, and there was no. And I was like, man, I'm not getting any joy from this work at all. In fact, it's kind of making me depressed to go into work every day.
I'm a
like,
horrible person.
not even I'm a horrible person. It's like, no matter how hard I try, it will never be enough, and that's not a good. That's not
I
a good
hate
headspace.
that feeling.
That's not a good
I hate
headspace
that
to be
feeling.
in. And I
well,
was
the,
like,
the reality is it never is going to be enough, because you
Right.
got to keep it going.
You're right.
I mean, it's
And
just,
you're right.
And I hate to say this, from the accident, I felt that way every day.
That's hard.
When I lay my head down every night, That's how I feel.
That's
I will
so
never be
unfortunate.
good enough for life
They
now.
say OSHA estimates 83% of U.S. workers experience work-related stress, with work being a significant stress source for 65%. They say
And they say stressed, and I found this, stressed employees take an extra 7 days of sick leave due to stress every year.
Wow.
Yeah, they said that
Burnout's real. It's
yeah,
a thing.
stress is linked to 120,000 U.S. deaths annually.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's a lot more than I thought.
That's just what it is. They said workplace health programs, and you're starting to see a lot of companies offer mental health and those kind of things. They said the return on the investment is $15.60 saved per $1 spent, reducing absenteeism and healthcare cost. But I'm telling you, what's going to be interesting as AI advances and as jobs disappear.
Yeah.
What are people going to do?
Right.
What are people going to do?
I
don't know how that's going to play out.
I speculate that things are going to go, like I said, things are going to probably get far worse, and then we're going to probably hit this moment where it's going to plateau, and I think it's going to shift again.
It's going to take a paradigm shift. I mean,
what I'm talking about in like the AI space, I think that there's going to be an over reliance on it, and then we're going to go, this isn't the thing, and then we're going to move away from it and go back to having real people. I think there's going to be this shift where I think we're currently doing that, where it's like there's a heavy reliance on AI, and then I think it's going to get even more. And then there's going to be a moment where it's like, man, everything feels a little sterile. And then there's not, and people are going to want people around again, I think. And then it's going to shift back in a different direction.
And I did some analytics here, and I found out that a toxic manager cost an average company $1,020,000 per year, where a good manager gains $1.1 million a year for
not keeping the bad apple.
Yeah, a swing of over $2 million.
Crazy.
Think about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
And that's in retention, that's in people, that's in everything you can imagine. That's insane to me.
You were going to say something.
To your AI point, like I could talk forever on that thing. And so we've seen it before where like machines are getting rid of people, and then you have like, answering machines are getting rid of the front desk receptionist. So we were already seeing that shift. And we're going to continue to see it. AI is going to take away some jobs, and it's also going to shift what college and certifications look like. But then it's going to create, in my opinion, the AI department, because you're going to need people to manage it and the policies and what does it look like. They're already teaching AI at LSU. I've talked to students. They have AI classes. And so
I'm taking classes for AI.
Taking classes specifically for it. And so, again, if you're not getting there, but you still have to have that human element to it. And so something that they say always in SHRM, in Johnny Taylor would say it, he's the CEO, he says AI plus HI, human intelligence, equals ROI. And so there's a lot of things you have to have that human touch, because yes, I can go chat GPT something all day long, but I got to be able to know, is it hallucinating? Is it what's going on? Where's the data coming from? So you do have to have that. I remember 2 weeks ago, I went to the doctor. I had a little bump on my foot, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting old. What is this bump? Is it cancer? Like, you get old, you're like, what is this?
Wanders,
So me and Chat had a conversation about it. It's like, okay, what is this bump? It could
Did
be
you
this, could be
amputate
this.
your foot?
No, but it was like, okay, you need a podiatrist. Then I was like, okay, well, this is my insurance. Here's where I live. Give me, who should I go to based on the reviews?
Okay.
So when I get to the doctor and I was like, hey, by the way, Chat told me to come see you. This bump, I already know what it is. It's a cyst. And basically I did his job. And he was like, he's like, yeah, I feel sorry for the doctors that spent years and money becoming doctors, because unfortunately they're going to start losing. He said, except for the surgeons. Like,
Well, here, I want you to think about this. All the doctors in college now are using AI to pass their test. Yeah. If this wasn't a good time to start eating healthy and get healthy, this is it right now. Because they ain't, remember, we talked about that a while back. Harvard did the study that said, and they did 3 different versions of it, but the people that used it to research and the people that used it 100% weren't retaining any of it.
But the funny thing is, like I have insider knowledge, and like, just so that way, like most hospitals have like a computer that has like specific. It's not Wikipedia, but it's like Wikipedia that has all the information you want to know. So the amount of times your doctor, and I don't mean to scare anybody with this, the amount of times your doctor will go there and just like clickety-clock away on a computer to go like, what is this? And look in this database.
Yep.
Has been doing this for decades now. So
and
it's
they're
like,
talking about the LLMs being specific to industry, so
Right,
it doesn't
right.
muddy the water with research and facts. So each industry having their own LLM.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Engineers cannot remember everything
100%.
in their head, what they're taught, and it's the same thing with doctors, how to go find the information.
Yeah.
That's mostly what your AI just is another tool
Yeah.
to help you go find theory. What's the weather like today? It's kind of the same thing. It's just you're being taught how to find it more conveniently.
Well, that's why they say the doctors and lawyer, they're practicing.
That's right.
Well, I
It's
think,
their caveat on practice.
So I
it's
got
also-
one to throw at you. I'm sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
before we continue, is I do feel like that's what I'm talking about, like the human element. Is that you can go to ChatGPT and say like, what's this problem? And it can probably diagnose you. But there's also something about like having a human care for you in a way and be like, I'm not saying this is like the end all be all, but like having someone that is a professional in this field that can like be there and tend to it and like and that
Bedside
kind of stuff
manner.
is like, yes, there's a difference.
Because
There's a
chat's
special
not going to give me the steroid shot or the MRI
Right,
or the
right.
things.
Yeah.
But-
So,
Until the robots can do it.
The robots can do it.
I don't know.
I want to
just
throw
plug-
one your way. All right. This thing now within California and some of these other states with this mandated $15 to $20 minimum wage. How is that affecting the HR world right now? Okay, I caught her off guard. I knew that one would do it.
That's a
I knew
heavy
that one.
subject because I think that
It
that's
is.
heavy because I think
It's
the same
very
thing has
heavy
been
subject.
discussed here before about
Yes.
trying to increase the
Yeah.
minimum wage to like $10 or something or more than that, and it's like
How does HR handle that one?
It depends. I mean, if you have an organization who is across the board, then you just kind of, I mean, I've worked in organizations like that before where you over here, their cost of living's more, so they have higher wages versus over here, and you just budget accordingly. But that's what I was saying earlier is, well, if I'm smart and I'm going to work remotely, I'm going to go work for somebody in California because they're going to pay at a higher rate, even though I'm live over here. And so, but it happens too, like the smaller organizations who can't afford that.
Well, like
mean,
McDonald's,
that's-
who can't afford that, what they did was they laid off people and put robots and AI and kiosks and things like that in there. So what does that do? How do you retain people? That would be HR's department in retention, right?
Well, that's why people have so many options now to go look, and they're like, well, I'm not going to work here for this because I can go work here for that.
Right.
And so it puts those people who then, well, I can't afford this for, so it just, it puts people's backs against the wall. But HR aside, I also feel like, I mean, our minimum wage is horrible. Like,
Yes.
people can't survive on that. So then you have the whole like Alice population issues, and then you have the whole like, they need assistance, but then they reach a threshold where they can't get assistance, and then it's just this vicious cycle. But they have
the minimum wage is not designed for people to survive on. It's designed for high school kids to go out and get into the workforce and not be paid peanuts.
Yeah.
If you're trying to survive on that, that's your choice. That you need to go somewhere else and find a real job. That's for entry level. That's for part-time people, students, kids to go out there.
and I know some folks who can't, who just that's meeting people where they're at is something I always talk on, and I'm trying to be
Polite.
yes, but some people can't. Like I have a best friend and her sister pushes buggies at a grocery store, and that's all she can do, and that's all she'll ever be able to do.
Well, being polite is fine. Just remember our email for the show is getoffendedtogether@gmail.com.
that.
I always use the term diplomatic.
Diplomatic,
How
yes.
do I be
Okay,
diplomatic?
so
Be
working in
polite and
HR
diplomatic, but we also offend people regularly on this show. So
And I guess I've learned
Especially
because
me.
working in HR, everyone is offended or
Sure.
everyone feels
Oh,
harassed.
100%.
And so I have to constantly go in and it's like, am I saying
Yeah,
this
yeah.
the right way? Am somebody going to get offended? Or somebody going to have a harassment against?
Oh my
like,
gosh,
what does
yeah.
that look
Yeah,
like?
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so it's like some people, yes, they will stay in that. But also it's because they don't believe in themselves. I've seen folks on the job, and I will go and try to talk to them because their boss won't go talk to them because I'm trying to teach them and coach them to be better leaders. And so I'll go talk to those individual hourly workers, and I'm like, hey, don't you want to go to that next level? Don't you? And so I remember this one guy, his name was Brian, and it took 2 or 3 years where he did not believe in himself. He felt if he tried to go to the next level and he couldn't do it, he would just be fired. So he was content where he was at, making the money. He needed his job. And so instead of taking a risk, I'm going to stay where I'm at. And nobody went behind him and empowered him and believed in him and proved to him that he could. But I did. I, as HR, would pull him in, and I noticed that. I would pull him in my office. Every time I'd see him, I'd plant little seeds, plant little nuggets. And finally, one day he came, Miss Meagan, I'm going to do it. You think I'm ready? And I've been telling him for 3 years, Brian, you've been ready. You know this. You've got this. But his own fear got in the way.
Well, it's like you said before. There's something about the risk. Is like I'm comfortable. I can.
Content.
I'm doing okay here. And if I rock the boat and lose this, man, I'm going to be real upset with myself. But I can. I've been in that same boat.
Yeah.
Not
But you see, the
just
kids
like that,
today are okay with starting over. I dread having
Some
to go
people,
somewhere
yes.
and completely start over.
Well,
That
I
just
think
drives
the
me-
younger generations are
Change
a
management.
little bit
It's change.
more malleable, and the world they grew up in versus the world that you grew up in, even I grew up in. I just think their brains process change better
because there's
Because
versus
everything's constantly changing.
right for
that's also- I
us.
think it's
Everything's
also-
instant,
For,
Well, no,
for
well,
us,
I
for
think
us it was pretty static.
right?
I would venture to say. I mean, you kind of knew you can look 5-10 years down the road and go, yeah, it's going to look pretty much what I'm seeing here.
I think it's also a loyalty thing.
Yes.
We won't. That's a whole other discussion for another day. But I think a majority of that's loyalty. Is like I'm here to get a paycheck, and that's all I'm here for.
And it also
And
goes
then-
back to your resume.
You're right. And I
Because
just think
people are going to ask, oh, you job hop, you switch a lot.
Yeah.
And so people are like, oh, I need to stay here a little longer so it doesn't look like I just constantly leave. Because then they're going to think I'm not loyal and I'm going to
Right.
up and leave.
Right.
And now that's the norm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cancel culture.
Yeah. I think, like I said, I think a majority of what I've seen is like, I'm here for a paycheck. And then the second they receive any friction, they're like, I'll go somewhere else. I'll get a paycheck somewhere else. And it's like, well, okay, you don't have to. And it's like, no, I'll change right now. And it's like, you could stay here.
Some people also don't know how to do CBAs, cost benefit analysis, and they also want instant gratification.
100%.
So, case in point, had an employee who, I'm leaving. I'm going to go move to Tennessee. They're offering me all this extra money to go because I need the money. It was about the money.
Yeah.
But if you calculate cost of living, plus your insurance, plus this, plus that, you're going to be making less money. They couldn't see the forest from the trees. That's all they could see is my annual salary was going to be more. Or you have situations where people get in the situation like, I don't like my boss. There's this, I'm leaving. It's toxic. Instead of working through it and seeing, like, was there something else there underlying, or did you need to look in the mirror?
Oh, and that's one thing we've talked about in the show, too, that I think is like the amount of people that I think cannot and will not admit that they might be wrong. It's a big thing. It's like,
I tell people all the time, sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward, but people think they have to just keep going forward and forward and forward. But sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward.
I agree with Ian. I think when people are wrong, they should admit it. If I ever was, I would.
that
Yeah,
will never
you
happen.
should.
Though. There's a lot of people that will sit there and they even whenever you provide facts that they're incorrect,
Yeah.
they will
They
double
will
down,
stand,
Relatable.
double
No.
down, stand on the ground.
You can show them the video. And this you in the
yeah.
video right here doing this
And
thing
you're like,
on this
no.
day.
Straight to your face, lie to you, and you're like, gosh, I can't. Yeah. I'll never forget one of the first jobs that I had out of high school. I worked there for like a full calendar year, and it was like stocking shelves, and it was a great job right out of high school. Made me some great money. And I'll never forget all the people that I was working with, the managers, supervisors, coworkers. I was leaving that job to take a pretty significant pay cut for the next job opportunity that I had in the field that I wanted to work in, doing like graphic design, film photography, sound engineering for bands, and like the sphere that I wanted to work in so bad. And I knew that I was not going to be getting paid as much, but I knew it was going to give me like great hours behind all the equipment that I wanted.
gonna be happy.
I was going to be super happy. But that was the thing, is that I was like, when people asked, they were like, well, "Oh, so you're going to be making more money out there?" And I was like, "Well, no, I'm going to be making less by a pretty significant margin." But at the time, I was like, I was still with my parents. I was paying my dad, money here and there for utilities or whatever it was at the time. And so I was like, even with the pay cut, I can still afford gas and the money I have to pay, all that stuff. And I was like, so it's going to be okay. And they're like, but why? Why would you pass up like a promotion here? When I was like,
about money.
It wasn't about that. But like I said, that's some people are just so number go up, and that's what I want. And it's like, well, sometimes there's more at here, So, but anyways, was there anything else we want to touch on before we land the plane?
No, Megan, do you have any?
Oh, speaking of landing the plane, I may have something coming for you, Mr. Pilot.
Oh no! Don't talk to me like that.
I may have something coming for you.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
Just put a little bug in your ear. I'm working on something.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Ian wants to be a pilot.
This is
a
good.
little bit. I'd say it's a little dream.
Good
I've been
aspirations.
cooking up, so I've been working with it. But yeah,
Do it.
Day one or one day?
Do it now.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's just
Do it
the
now.
big thing. Like with everything, it's money. It's a big commitment to get the licenses and to get all the stuff. And I'm trying to get some money set aside so that way whenever I do want to jump in, I'm not, because once the money runs out, they cut you off, and I don't want that to happen where I'm halfway through the process and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah, getting your ducks in a row.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Megan.
Thank you for having me.
This has been
is great. I know that HR sometimes gets a bad rap. Trust me, I know that. In my role, you have to get thick skin. There's been days where I'm like, why am I doing this? This is very difficult. But I learned that to have empathy. Empathy is what a lot of people lack. And if you can go in and know that they're humans and talk to them if you were in their shoes or meet them where they're at, it goes a long way. And so that is one thing I've learned. Yes, there's black and white. There's that gray area. Mm-hmm. And you do have to think about what's in the best interest of the employer, but also you have to think about employee. And not everybody does that in HR. But that's the cool thing about where I'm at now is I bring that to the clients that I work with. I bring that when I'm doing trainings, and I'm only one person. And so everybody can't have an HR that is like that, but it should be where it's for the employee. And I know that's why I got into it. I know the Lord put me in this space for the reason of, planting those seasoned individuals, making them feel important, not making them feel like, oh, well, let me just, get you off of here and just get rid of you. You're just a number. And it's not there. People are human beings. And again, if you have empathy, it goes a long way.
The title of my book I'm writing about my experience is Battle of the Mind. Did they think I was just going to lay there and die?
Ooh.
Because it would have been better for everybody had I just died that day.
Oh, that's horrible. Don't say that.
It would have been better for probably them, but not everybody.
No.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I hate that you had that experience.
Yeah.
And
hard.
I hope that one day I'm claiming that it's redeemed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's what happens to stereotypes.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah.
Well, for anybody out there, you know how to get involved with us. But before we go through all that spiel, is there any kind of any place that you want to guide the people here to see your stuff or to?
Sure. If they want to, my website's westwardstrategies.com. Or you can also look me up, LinkedIn, whatever, Meagan West.
Love it.
Meagan.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, Mom. My whole life of I can't spell your name right.
Yeah.
But thank you.
If you want to reach out to us, we have comment sections on Spotify and YouTube, as you guys already know, at Retrospect Pod. The email address is getoffendedtogether@gmail.com.
I still love that.
Where
name.
you
Is
can
it
also
really?
reach out. Yes, it is.
I love this.
Is getoffendedtogether@gmail.com.
One of the first little taglines we came up
Yes.
with when the show first started is let's all sit together in a circle and get offended together was the thing because we tried it.
The joke was we were going to at least offend one person
probably
in an
somebody.
episode.
I know I have.
Yeah,
You've been offended or you've offended?
I've offended.
I think he's offended on accident.
I know I have offended.
But anyways, until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone, and God bless.
Peace.
HR today is navigating a perfect storm. Employees expect flexibility, career growth, and mental health support, while organizations struggle with budgets, outdated structures, and the inertia of tradition. How we respond to this storm will define the workplaces of tomorrow. Will we sink under the pressure, clinging to old habits and fearing change? Or will we steer boldly, holding leaders accountable and rewarding real growth and putting people, not just policies, at the center? The choice isn't just about business. It's about whether workplace becomes a place that inspires or a place we merely survive. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. You're the best. Peace.